Insellmilkom, Sinjuri, grazzi li qed issegwu il-programm illum. Ix-xandira qed issir miż-żejtun.
Se nibdew billi nagħtu ħarsa lejn il-laqgħa ta' G20.
B'analiżi qasira mingħand Dr. Colin Lawrence.
Il-President tal-Istati Uniti Joe Biden qed juża s-summit tal-G20 fl-Indonezja biex jenfasizza l-importanza li pajjiżu u ċ-Ċina jevitaw konflitt ta' kosta kollox. Il-tensjoni bejn dawn iż-żewġ potenzi la tirranka bil-kwistjoni ta' Taiwan tinkwadra bi prominenza speċjalment wara l-President ta' Ċina Xi Jinping insista li din il-gżira stat għandha tispiċċa taħt is-sovranità ta' Beijing. Il-pożizzjoni tal-Istati Uniti ċara, l-Amerika hija impenjata biex tiddefendi lit Taiwan li ilha 20 ta' snin teżerġita stil ta' tmexxija demokratiku. Joe Biden u Xi Jinping iltaqgħu f'Bali għall-ewwel taħdidiet wiċċ imwiċċ mindu tal-aħħar reġa' kien elett President tan fost tamiet li ż-żewġ mexxejja jiffissaw politika li tilimita l-aġir tal-pajjiżi rispettivi fil-konfront ta' Taiwan f'sitwazzjoni li tissir dejjem aktar perikoluża u inċerta. Fl-istess ħin indikazzjonijiet huma li t-taħdidiet speċifiċi bejn Biden u Xi Jinping għandhom ikomplu għal tul ta' żmien fuq sinjali li l-mexxejja fl-aħħar sigħat iddiskutew is-sigurtà ekonomika globali, il-kwistjoni tal-Korea ta' fuq u l-invażjoni tal-Ukrajna mill-qawwiet tar-Russja. Hemm ukoll tama li l-laqgħa bejn Biden u Xi Jinping ittaffu ftit mit-tensjoni li rrankat bejn iż-żewġ potenzi wara iżjara fit-Taiwan tal-Speaker tal-Kamra tar-Rappreżentanti Amerikana Nancy Pelosi. Kemm Joe Biden kif ukoll Xi Jinping qed iwasslu messaġġ li huma jafu eżatt x'hemm fin-nofs waqt li qegħdin jibagħtu sinjali lill-komunità globali li huma se jkunu responsabbli fid-deċiżjonijiet li se jkunu qed jittieħdu.
This is where the group of 20, that's the 20 so-called richest nations, basically make pledges coming out of a incredible framework and what are the key risks and what they want from the world. But I'd say what dominated this G20 actually wasn't economics at all, which angered the organizers of the whole conference. It really was around geopolitics. And I'd say the geopolitics was dominated by the USA-China relationship and, of course, what's going on in the Russia-Ukraine war. So meanwhile, Biden had met in a bilateral Xi, and this actually set an entire tone. I'm not going to say that, wow, relationships are improved and things are much better, but nevertheless, I suppose the summit will be remembered for the relationship between, these different parties, all lobbying which camp you're in and so on. But I'd say the culprit of the G20 was Putin, because actually he wasn't there. Sending in Sergei Lavrov, his foreign minister, to sap up, all the heat on Russia. There's been a lot of things happening at the side of the G20. For example, the G7's become quite important because it was exactly at this time last week when a rocket fell into the Polish space. And being a member of NATO, this created a lot of problems. Of course, to avoid World War III, there was a lot of premature talk by Biden saying that it wasn't deliberate by the Russians, but of course, they deliberately in a war against the Ukraine. But I'd say, as I said, a key to the summit wasn't economics, it was geopolitics. And I'd say that with Knerson, with the Ukrainians throwing out Russian troops from this invasion, starting in the Crimea years ago, I think that's where the focus was. Again, Putin was no doubt a target figure, and non-aligned countries were distancing themselves just in through discussion and coming out with joint declarations of statements against the unconditional exit, demanding the unconditional exit of all Russian troops outside of Ukrainian territory. So the Commission nevertheless did an analysis of the world situation. They said the crises are very multidimensional, as we suspect. It's around COVID, climate change, we're in a recession, it's about chronic poverty, and I think setting out all these key strategic issues, both economic and geopolitical, they concluded that all these things, from the COVID, the war and everything, it's hindering sustainable development goals, which is really the main issue of how they're there. How can they get emerging market countries participating in the benefits of the planet? How can they resolve the climate issue and so on? A key theme then was food and energy security, to get supply chains sorted out, to get food shipped out of the Ukraine. So great welcome for the Black Sea Grain Initiative. That was initiated by the UN and facilitated by Turkey, which is a maritime humanity corridor to get food out to poor countries. Quite clearly, the war in Ukraine is having a price, number one, on oil, as we all know, creating inflation, but also in terms of supply chains, very disruptive, not getting food to the very poor. So one thing that was pledged at this G20 meeting was around an advanced energy and security resilience system. I don't exactly know where the money's come from, but whether it's via the World Bank or through other auspices, IMF or other agencies. But the one thing they stated again and again was around the stability of energy prices and a security of the supply of energy at affordable prices.
Dik kienet analiżi minant Dr. Colin Lawrence dwar il-laqgħa ta' G20. Issa miżejtu